We are going to look at a set of related JavaScript functions that we are frequently using. First is the arrow functions. See the output is 1, 2, 3. What's happening here? First, we're going to call function number 1. So this is a normal function called test1 with parameter 1, so that means we're going to call test2, and here test2 is defined over here, but that's defined with an arrow. So the arrow is the input of the arrow is the arrow is a function, and the input part is before the arrow sign, and the body of the function part on the right of the arrow. So actually test2 is doing the same as test1, just prints this parameter y. So you call test2 with parameter 2, see the value of here. And here the third one is actually also the same, but it's even more compromised. So we take the function with input z, output our body console log set. We put it in print already a function and call it with parameter 3, so we get 3 as output. So these are some different functions and explaining the arrow function. Well, the second part is the so-called then. So what is happening here? Here we're calling asynchronous functions. So we're going to call fetch. Fetch is going to retrieve, going to do an HTTP request and retrieve this file, which is a JSON file. And afterwards you see the call to then. The then is called once the fetch is finished. So this could take whatever, a couple of seconds, but at least a relatively large amount of time. And afterwards the function then is called. Then contains a callback, step 2. Step 2 is this. What it does, takes the output of the fetch, called response, and calls the JSON on that output. JSON is also a function that can take quite a while. So that after that you can also do it then. So the second then calls step 3. In step 3 we get the parameter content, which is just the content of the JSON file. Then we take a little piece of the JSON file, content0.name, and we print that, and that happens to be this string, Ethereum mainnet. And by the way, to be able to use fetch in the browser, you have fetch already defined. But if you're running it on the node.js, then you have to install it with npm install node fetch. Now the next part is where we combine the then and the arrow. It's the same output as before, and it's actually doing the same as before. Call the fetch again. We have two thens after that. Instead of calling a function, we put directly arrow function in. So it's doing exactly the same. You take the response, call JSON, and afterwards take the content and you print it out. Shorter way to do exactly the same. Now we're doing the same now again, but now we're going to look at the error handling. I'm trying to fetch sort of the same file, but I'm here, so that's a file that doesn't exist. So we get error messages out of that. And to catch error messages, you can use the .catch, more or less at the same place as the .then. And here we also use an arrow function, takes the error and prints it out. So first it tries to receive JSON file, which it can, so that gives an error message. You see that here, error message, and then afterwards it's trying to convert that to JSON, but that's also not possible. So here we get a second error message, and one over here tries to do something with the find. Now we get to the final part, the async. Basically the same function again. It also gives the same output result. Fetch again. And what we are doing here is using the so-called await keyword. The advantage of await is that what it means, you sort of wait on the function. Only when the function is ready, you continue. Gives a more readable code. So you await first for the fetch, afterwards wait for the JSON, and then you can print the output out of it. One thing that's very important, if you want to use the word await, you can only do that from a function which is asynchronous. So you have to put here async for the function. You can call this function just like this, doing async